Spartans! What is your profession?
In the sweltering heat of the summer of 480 BC, the ancient lands of Greece trembled beneath the weight of an impending storm. The Persian Empire, a behemoth of conquest and tyranny, loomed on the horizon, its colossal army poised to crush all who dared defy its dominion. Yet from the ashes of discord arose a glimmer of hope. A rare confederacy of Greek city-states, bound together by a common purpose, to withstand the tempest of Persian aggression. Foremost among them stood Athens, a bastion of democracy and innovation, whose valorous deeds in the Ionian Revolt still echoed in the winds of time. Alongside them marched Sparta, a colossus of martial prowess and stoic resolve, its warriors forged in the crucible of Mount Olympus itself. In the hallowed halls of Sparta's citadel, where the echoes of valor resounded through the marble corridors, Leonidas summoned forth the chosen few, the epitome of Spartan excellence. From the cradle of Sparta's noblest houses, he handpicked each warrior, discerning not only their martial prowess, but the purity of their bloodline, the sacred thread that bound them to the heroic lineage of their forefathers. Among the chosen, there emerged the fabled 300 Spartans, a band of brothers bound by oath and duty, whose names would be sung in hymns of valor for all time. Clad in the bronze armor of their ancestors, their shields bearing the emblem of the defiant Spartan spirit, they stood as a bulwark against the encroaching tide of tyranny, their hearts aflame with the indomitable resolve of their king. Together, they marched to the edge of oblivion, where the pass of Thermopylae awaited as the crucible of their fate. Each warrior fighting not for glory or conquest, but for the honor of Sparta and the enduring legacy of their bloodlines. As the Persian juggernaut descended upon the narrow pass of Thermopylae, where the fate of Greece would be decided. When questioned about the disparity in numbers between his forces and the vast Persian host, Leonidas's response was characteristic of Spartan brevity and resolve. "What, Leonidas? Do you come to fight so great a number with so few?" inquired a bewildered onlooker. "I have enough, since they are to be killed," thus spoke the Spartan king, his words ringing with the weight of ages. Leonidas, with his Spartan warriors, had devised a cunning plan to thwart the overwhelming numbers of the Persian army. He chose Thermopylae, a terrain that favored the disciplined few against the vast multitudes. The narrow gorge acted as a shield, a fortification against the thundering onslaught of Xerxes' army. Here, the advantage lay not in numbers, but in skill and strategy. Yet fate, that unpredictable mistress, weaves the threads of history with a fickle hand, and as Leonidas arrived, he discovered a treacherous path, the Anopia Trail, winding its way through the mountains, threatening to undo his carefully laid plans. But the Spartan king, undeterred by adversity, entrusted 1,000 brave souls to guard the path while his men toiled to fortify their position. Xerxes set up camp near Thermopylae and bided his time for 4 days. He was convinced that the Greeks, upon seeing his mighty army, would be overcome with fear and retreat. According to Plutarch, a Greek Middle Platonist philosopher and historian, he sent a messenger to Leonidas, urging him to lay down his arms, but the Spartan king replied, "Molon lab, come and take them." On the 5th day, the mighty Persian forces descended upon the narrow pass, their vast numbers seeming like an unstoppable tide crashing against the cliffs. The Persians, though fierce in spirit, found themselves ill-prepared for the unforgiving terrain that lay ahead. Their swords, though sharp, were dwarfed by the length of those wielded by the Greeks, and their shields, though stout, offered scant protection against the relentless onslaught of the Spartan phalanx. The tight space suited the Greeks, who were used to fighting in a phalanx formation, shoulder to shoulder, presenting a wall of shields to the enemy. It was an opportunity for the Spartans, in particular, to demonstrate their fighting capacity, the fruits of a life given over, body and soul, to the military. Time and again, the Greeks repelled the onslaught, inflicting heavy casualties upon the Persian ranks. Yet, undeterred by setbacks, Xerxes summoned forth his most formidable warriors, a corps of elite soldiers numbering 10,000. These warriors, known to history as the Immortals. The Greeks gave them this title, for they seemed to possess an uncanny ability to replenish their ranks instantaneously, ensuring that their numbers never dwindled, even amidst the fiercest of battles. But fate, as it often does, had a treacherous turn in store. A Greek shepherd by the name of Ephialtes, whose name has since become synonymous with treachery, emerged from the shadows, with promises of wealth and reward. Ephialtes approached Xerxes, offering him the key to unlock the seemingly impregnable defenses of Thermopylae. He revealed to Xerxes the existence of the clandestine Anopaia path, bypassing the Greek positions and emerging behind their lines. This revelation held the promise of a decisive advantage for the Persian forces, circumventing the bronze wall of Spartan shields. Xerxes, seeing the opportunity to break the deadlock, entrusted the task to Hydarnes and his elite immortals. Under cover of darkness, at the hour when lamps flicker into life, the Persian warriors embarked on their daring mission. Through the rugged terrain and under the cloak of night, they pressed forward, guided by Ephialtes' treacherous hand. A momentous decision weighed heavily upon the shoulders of King Leonidas and his council of war. Should they retreat, seeking safety and survival in the face of insurmountable odds, or should they stand their ground? With the weight of duty and the echo of ancient oaths ringing in his ears, Leonidas rejected the notion of retreat. In the shadow of Mount Kallidromos, where the pass of Thermopylae stood as a gateway to Greece, he resolved that surrender was not an option. Leonidas stood tall, a colossus amidst mere mortals. His heart, a forge of indomitable resolve, beat in rhythm with the pulse of his homeland, each breath a testament to the unwavering spirit of Sparta. Gathering his 300 Spartans, a phalanx of steel and sinew, Leonidas called upon the gods themselves to bear witness to their valor. Yet he was not alone, for alongside him marched a band of allies from Thebes, their souls aflame with the same fervor for liberty. Leonidas said to his stalwart brothers with grim humor, "Have a hearty breakfast, for tonight we dine in Hades." As the sun began its ascent over the rugged landscape, Leonidas, undeterred by the overwhelming Persian force encamped before him, made a daring move. Instead of waiting for the enemy to strike first, as some might expect, he chose to seize the initiative with an audacious early assault on the Persian camp, a move that would be remembered for centuries to come. Contrary to some accounts, it was not the Persians who launched the initial offensive. Xerxes, the great king, hesitated. With the sun reaching its zenith, the Persians finally commenced their advance, their ranks bolstered by the belief in their divine destiny. Meanwhile, Leonidas, he led his men into the open terrain, forsaking the protection of the natural defenses. Despite the perilous exposure, this move afforded the Spartans greater flexibility to deploy their formations and maximize their effectiveness against the enemy hordes. The Greek warriors faced their fate with unyielding resolve. Knowing full well that their chances of survival were slim, they embraced their inevitable demise with a fearless fervor. Spears shattered, they unsheathed their swords, engaging the enemy in a relentless melee that would etch their names into the annals of history. In the heat of battle, amidst the tumultuous clash of steel and the thunderous roar of war cries, Leonidas fell. His noble spirit ascending to join the ranks of legends. Yet, his sacrifice only ignited the flames of defiance within his warriors, who fought with a ferocity that shook the very earth beneath their feet. With Hydarnes and his dreaded immortals descending upon them like avatars of doom, the Spartans retreated, but not in defeat. They fell back and regrouped on higher ground behind the protective wall. Those who still had swords defended themselves. Others fought with fists and teeth. The Persians eventually broke down the wall and surrounded them, but avoided hand-to-hand fighting. Instead, they finished off their enemies with arrows. After Thermopylae, The Greeks went on to achieve great victories at Salamis and Plataea, where they decisively defeated the Persians. Leonidas and his men had reinforced the prestige of Sparta and raised the morale of all Greeks to continue fighting against Persia. These men, therefore, alone of all of whom history records, have in defeat been accorded a greater fame than all others who have won the fairest victories.